Hello, hi, welcome to our August tour of Little Walter's Flower Farm. We are heading towards the end of our season. Lots of things have been harvested. You can see all the gladiolas here in this front garden. They were all used in bouquets. A very few of them were just around for decoration. A lot of this will get moved to a different location for next year, but I like to have some gladiolas up here because I think it provides some interest for people that are walking by. We still have some yarrow. We're getting second flushes of our rudbeckia. This one is my favorite version. We got a little bee busy on the top. Some yarrow really hasn't produced anything. It's just become super bushy. So next year it'll likely produce more, or maybe later on in the fall we'll have some. Another calendula plant has just started. This is sea holly. I have 3 sea holly plants. There's one over here that already bloomed, and this one has just got greenery. But this, when it is fresh, kind of has a little bit of a poo-poo smell, like dog poo, which is interesting. So I don't use it in fresh arrangements, but I've been saving it for dried stuff, and it doesn't have that smell after that. I primarily use the calendula though for trap crop, although I'm not having aphid issues right now. That's more earlier in the season. We have a lot of pollinators all around the garden. I need to put the fountain back in. Status has had multiple flushes now, and some of it is kind of going to bed. But I have another succession that I will show you. Our phlox is kind of done. Everything up here is just, it's a little tired. This was some lavender I grew. Celosia, it's still putting out some stems, but it's mostly greenery and things now. And I've just left it because I didn't grow anything else or put in another succession of celosia here, so I'm fine with it just kind of growing out here and doing more little things because I can definitely use that in dried arrangements. This month we actually have a 3rd birdhouse gourd, so it is smaller than these birdhouse gourds, but it was pretty cool. It set that. It hasn't really set any other fruit because I think that's all this plant can manage. So we have 4 all together. Oh, I think I said 3, but we have 4. There's the 4th one. I forgot about that one. Marigolds have been one of the biggest producers here and have done really well in arrangements. Amaranth is still putting on some nice manageable stems, which I really love because in particular, this is pigweed beetle damage, but you don't use the leaves, so it's not a big deal. There's a pigweed beetle right there. Whoops, there you go. Because the way that I plant them, I get manageable stems, so I don't get like the big giant fans that a lot of people get if they space them what's recommended on seed packets and stuff. This is basil. You'll see that it's patchy down here. That's because I did have some asters that were still growing in here, and so I planted the basil around those plants. There was about 4 aster plants that were still growing in here. I did throw in some straw flower, but it seems like some of those didn't take, so not a big deal, but 2 down here are doing okay. That's cinnamon basil, and this is cardinal basil. Cinnamon basil grows a lot quicker than cardinal basil, but cardinal basil I really love for the flower that it puts out in the center. This is a cinnamon basil, but it'll put out a center like bushier flower in there. We do have another succession of celosia and different types. I'm really loving this one right here. Some of it I have pruned back, some of it I've just let grow tall, and then it'll get another flush. I believe this is the Sunday series, so it's a little bit more hotter and brighter colors than some of the other ones that I had earlier, which were more like pastel, not pastel, but like a little bit lighter pinks and oranges and yellows. So we're looking okay. This tomato plant just never did really well. It produced fruit, so that's fine, but it wasn't anything exciting. Some more marigolds, some more amaranth. These are another flush of marigolds that I planted a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, a few weeks ago. So they'll start putting out some blooms. I love, 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 love marigolds. And there's white, orange, and yellow. Some more celosia. I have some sunflowers smattered in. Kind of once I flip beds to being second or third successions, I just kind of have fun with it and plant all sorts of different things together. This is another round of zinnias. I did a purple color, so I really, really like that in bouquets, and it's a Benares Giant. This is the second succession of Statice that's been slowly chugging along. We're starting to get some flowering, which is great, so I should have some Statice into the fall. And this is some feather celosia, which I have spotted around in different places. You'll see we have Jules Opar, or Tillinium, however you pronounce that. That is spotted all over the place. I actually didn't have to grow that from seed myself this year. This was actually self-seeded from last year, and I just transplanted it from, I don't know what this is. I just transplanted it from where it was started to come up. Sunflowers, we have a variety of different successions. This is the next one that will start blooming. This one just bloomed, and then this one will be after that. Oh, I was like, wait, that's not supposed to bloom. I need to seed in here to get these going, which I will actually seed in flats because it will be a lot quicker, and do that in the house and then plant those out. I have them already ready. We have some potatoes, which have fall potatoes, which have started to come up. I need to do another bag of those. This is from our first round of Statice, and we're doing okay. We're still getting some blooms on this, and I've just been really diligent in making sure to cut them because the pollinators love Statice. Last year's Lisianthus that came back is still in here. So we have a few of those that are going to have another flush. So I need to actually come in today and do a little bit of a trimming in there. This is the calendula that I've had going for the whole season that I used. This is the one I primarily used for the trap crop. This is our only bigger, not really that big, Lisianthus. Still was trialing it this year. She was trialing closer spacing, and it worked out really well. The Roseanne Brown that I grew from seed, amazing. So I will be growing that in mass definitely next year. And we'll have bigger, larger beds of Lisianthus growing next year, hopefully. Because I really like that, and it did quite well. You're going to see how we're doing. I have left all of this scabiosa for pollinators because they love it. I come through and I do kind of a big chop so that I can get all of the seed pod off, and then it just regrows. I did shorten it and cut it to just like a slimmer area. It was this whole 4x4. That's where I planted the zinnias. So it's a little bit smaller, but still gives them something to play around with. And I think we'll definitely grow this in the backyard gardens next year, specifically for all of our fruits and vegetables that we grow back there. This is just like our big celosia area. It's one of the originals. Similar to what I showed you before, we have some smaller celosia heads, which are cute, and they actually look pretty cool in bouquet arrangements. It's a big truck coming by. We've got a lot of work going on in our neighborhood currently, which happens. Some of this is a lot of greenery, so I've just been using it as such. Why not? And then we have our big zinnia, not super big, but the first and original zinnia patch, which we're still cutting off of and still getting really nice colorful blooms. I've been using that a lot. We did have a big rainstorm that kind of damaged our dahlias and some of these, so I'm hoping that I will have enough for this week's bouquet club, because we did have some damage, but we'll figure that out as needed. This is our third succession of cress. So this is the one that we're going to have mostly probably for September, I think. And so it's started to put on its seed pods, which is really, really pretty, and drop the flowers. It takes a little bit of time for it to get to this point, but I wanted another round to potentially end out the season for some of our bouquet club members, and also go into potentially the beginning of September for some stuff. This is another round of zinnias. This was second succession of zinnias, and it's all from the Queen Lime, and then a few Oklahoma, I believe. I think it's Oklahoma yellows. This is mostly Queen Limes. A lot of the lime, or Queenie Lime, a lot of the blush is in this one. My favorite's the reds. We have gone through and cut our big patch of Gomphrena. I don't know if you remember, it was pretty tall and it was like a whole bush hedge situation here. I have cut that, and it's all drying. We have a variety of different colors, pink, white. The orange didn't do well, but we have a variety of colors, and some of them I have been using in bouquets for just a little pop of white. Our cucumber is finally fizzling out. The heat and just the storms and all sorts of stuff have really made it challenging to continue to grow cucumbers, but we got a lot of cucumbers this year, so that's been really cool. Our peppers are doing fantastic. This is a whole pepper bush. It's kind of like a tree. The ones in the back are doing better than the ones in the front, but the ones in the front are definitely putting on a lot of fruit, and some of them have already fruited, and I took some stuff off of them. Frosted Explosion is now long enough for me to use in some bouquets, which is pretty cool. Typically I've just kept that for drying, and I've been keeping a lot of the bunny tails just for drying as well, which I need to go through and do a little cut because some of them are toasted. And this was also another first round of Status that's up here, which I've trimmed back significantly, and it's still looking pretty green, so I might get another flush from some of these that are up here. This is just annual phlox that I left for this purpose mostly. They also have a really good smell. I could do more as far as like changing out crops and things like that, but for what I do as far as an urban flower farm, this is enough to be able to have a subscription, as well as, you know, a few bouquets at our flower stand here or there, and then to also do orders. I did a wedding at one point. Especially with it being the front gardens, I like keeping this bushy color, and once they get super bushy, they kind of resemble some of the Supertunias or the calibrachoas and things like that. So it kind of brings a really, I think, cottagey feel to our front gardens, which I like. This is, my straw flower didn't do great this year, but this bed has all the straw flower that I've been growing, as well as one pepper that I apparently planted amongst it. But this, I primarily use it in dried stuff, not necessarily in cut bouquets. But this week I actually might throw a few in there just as the end of the season, end of this apricot is, I think, my favorite. I'm going to grow so many more apricot. But like I said, end of the season, you know, everyone gets a sampling of something. Some more Rudbeckia here. Seems like everyone has decided that they're going to mow their lawn. This is an example of the Thallium Jules Opar just sprinkling itself wherever. This whole 4x4 here was what that was last year, and so apparently a lot of seed went everywhere. You can see it inside of the zinnias, and I go through and I just kind of go like this, and we're typically pretty good to go, but it spread a lot of seeds, so I do that fairly often in here. Look how pretty that is. So since we got a lot of noise on one side, I'm gonna take you all over on the opposite side of the house and go through there. This is an area where I just threw a bunch of mums that I had gotten a really super cheap discount at the end of fall last year, and now they're like mum hedges, and they're so heavy that they've kind of leaned forward, many of them. But you can see some of them are starting to bloom. I really like mums. They fill up a space. They're quite nice. I forget which Rudbeckia that is, but it's another black-eyed Susan. Echinaceas back there. I don't really use these that much, and this garden, I've said it a million times, is kind of just like a hodgepodge that I'm still trying to figure out its whole situation. But the stuff in here is easy to move and put in different places, and I might actually move it to some of my neighbors' gardens. An aster that I need to pull out, and then this is Supertunia Bubblegum Vista that I just put here for the simple reason of I wanted it to spread and do its thing, just to take up space. We get lots of crabgrass sprinkled everywhere thanks to all of the wildlife that we have. But I love Supertunia Bubblegum Vista. It's my fave. So we'll go through on this side. The dogs have been destroying the hostas. They love them. And they're great for shade because it's the side of the house that gets shade. But man, they are little devils. But we do have a hellebore. There was another one over there, which unfortunately got destroyed, I think. I'm not 100% sure. It maybe just died back. I don't know if the roots took, whatever it may be. I've grown them from smaller plants, and then the ones that are over here, I got at a nursery. So, who knows, but we'll see. This side is not a fancy side. I got some hostas. These are the hellebores I grew from starts that I think I had gotten from Brex, maybe. So there's 1, 2, 3. Thought maybe there's a fourth one, but here it might have only been 3. So this is mostly hostas over here, and these look like they're going to flower again, which is interesting. I have used hosta leaves for cut arrangements before, they look really cool. I've used them earlier in the spring before bug damage, but these ones actually don't have a lot of bug damage. The ones under our deck that are more in the sun have a lot more bug damage. Like this one has a lot more bug damage, or just starts looking kind of not its best. We do have peonies over here because this does get sun. Once the sun has shifted, I struggle a lot with weeds from other people's yards, so I'm always pulling and trying to detach them from our stuff. And I do have some gladiolas in here, and the gladiolas we just had extra at one point in time, so we threw them in here, and they came back this year, so hooray. We have peonies in here. I think they're all coral charms. Pretty sure. I don't know how well they're going to do. They seem to be okay. They came back. They're not super tall. They didn't flower, but they look good. I think there's also some peonies in here that we had gotten from somewhere else. I really need to fix this bed. We have some daylilies in here, and I really want to get rid of them because they're just, in my opinion, invasive, and I'm not a huge fan of them. They're not anything fantastic and not my vibe. But they have they leave their little roots in places and can't really do much about it. Potatoes that we need to harvest, these are our russets and green stalk this may be like third succession of dwarf tomatoes that I did in a green stalk. So, and they're determinate, so they only grow so much fruit, but I really like growing them in the green stalk. They tend to work out really, really well. And I have so many tomatoes. Like, I have tomatoes coming out my ears. Apparently, there's a Cosmo. Gosh, these Cosmos, they seed themselves everywhere. This is our basil bed. These cardinal basils some of them had the flower stalk, and they're fully matured, and so I wait until we got woody stems. That's when I start cutting. They're fully matured, and this one still has a flower, but some of them just didn't put on flowers on every single stalk, so I still use them because they smell great and they look great in a bouquet and they hold up really well. So you don't have to have the flower. I just like having the flower. This is just other placement of celosia. If you recall, our back gardens was a mess because of groundhogs. We had 5 groundhogs that were kind of being, just keep finding weeds. They were kind of being jerks. So it was really hard for me to utilize my back gardens because the flower greenery was just food for them. I had way more straw flower back here. They just get chomped down every single day. So it is what it is. You work with what you got. And we're just trying to keep it going. I decided to plant another succession of Scabiosa to see what would happen. It's growing. We'll see, but who knows? I've got some marigolds in here too. I was just testing some stuff out, see what'll happen, how well they'll do in the fall. They do like cooler weather, so I don't know. This is more celosia. This is another one that just keeps putting on greenery and not much of the feather flower, but these look really cool. And these were prunes, so they're smaller size that go really well in bouquets. And like I said, this is hodgepodge. We got feather celosia. We got different types of celosia. Actually, I have a dahlia. My dahlias are not doing great at all this year. Storms, creatures, all the things, just not good. So not very many dahlias going out in bouquets. Marigold back here, doing well. This cinnamon basil, I've cut off of multiple times and it keeps sprouting back, so not complaining. And this is kind of how it bushes out. I typically plant basil about 4 inches apart, but these were just some extras that I threw back here because this was just going to be the extras bed. Because if it got eaten, it got eaten. Gomphrena back here, which is looking quite nice. This one was planted a little bit later and it's taken a little bit longer to mature than the ones up front, but I'll be going through soon to kind of pick more of them. You do a little wobble test. Also an aster that's dying out now. My asters actually came on quite early in the season and this one was a little bit later. but it's been attacked by thrips and other things, so I haven't really used them for cut arrangements, which originally was the plan. So we'll try them again next year and see what happens. I think for my back gardens, a lot of my back gardens are going to be perennial stuff. Gosh, let me tell you, Bermuda grass is one of the most annoying things that we have an issue with in our gardens. Golly. And you think you get it all, and then there it is. I had actually more gladiolas here, and they all just really didn't do well. So I actually pulled them and got rid of them because they just were looking horrible. I left some that might end up doing something, but I don't think they will. So here we are. This dahlia is a little bit tall as opposed to my bushier ones because I've pruned them back. And these definitely got pruned because they were eaten by the groundhogs multiple times. But it's gotten really, really tall and hasn't bloomed yet. So I just have it staked and attached, and we're going to see what happens. This bed, I have celosia around the rim and in between, but this is just another succession of tomatoes that were from suckers. So like the little joints in here, that's where they came from. So you see celosia down there. And then we have peppers are doing amazing. I need to come through and do a big jalapeno harvest. So I'm going to be doing cowboy candy this weekend. We got some more zinnias, strawberries. Might get a fall flush of those. Look at this pepper plant. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I've already harvested about 6 peppers from this plant, and they are huge peppers. Carmen's, amazing pepper plant. It does need support though, because it can get bushy and tall. And then our 10-foot tall tomato plant. I've been harvesting all of the Romas, making sauce and salsa. Barry's Crazy Cherry. It's a finicky plant I have, but we're just kind of letting it do its thing. And I amended the soil back here recently because it seemed like they needed it. A random gomphrena. Oh, we got some toms in there that need to be picked. These are huge, huge, huge tomatoes. Like golf ball size. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So there's not much really back here. We do have a nice area of mums that have come back and did all sorts of different types of things. Look how long our loofah is along the deck. Still waiting to get some fruits. I don't know if I'm going to get them this year, but we got a lot of flowers, so who knows? We'll see. Got some yarrow in here. Got a variety of things. I like this whole area. We got Rudbeckia all the way down. Our green beans are here. We have some nice status still coming, but it's a first succession, so it's kind of tired out. Another hodgepodge area, but does have some dahlias. This one is actually producing. A big bed of craspedia. Got some cosmos I've been using for crafting, and more peppers over here with the lilac. And then lastly, we have this green stalk, and then some flowers that we seeded for the fall to overwinter. So that's all. That's what we got going on here on the farm in August, mid-August. Thanks for tagging along. Sorry for the noise. Bye.